Renee is here. Hello, Renee. And you say, what with your amazing insight and experience with the Criterion Collection, I was wondering about your thoughts and ideal mainstream horror thoughts on ideal mainstream horror films that should be inducted into the collection. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, thank you very much for your compliment. I wish I knew more about the films in the Criterion Collection than I do. I really have so much to learn and so much to study up on. But with that being said, your compliment is very, very kind indeed. So thank you. As far as horror films go, I guess there's so many to choose from. I'm a big fan of the horror genre. Very big fan of the horror genre. And I suppose one could try to consider if you're thinking, you say mainstream horror films. So, there's always room for mainstream horror. There are really a lot of exciting titles out there. Maybe so many to choose from, too many to choose from, perhaps. But, I think maybe maybe the big ones are always, maybe like people mention The Exorcist or The Shining, perhaps. There have been some really great releases of The Exorcist, so I don't know, maybe I'm not sure if Criterions would be necessary, although it doesn't matter, I suppose. Whenever Criterion releases something, it would be very exciting indeed. Oh no, it fell down. The head fell down. Let me try to put it up again and try to balance it better, so I don't do that here. But I like the idea of, oh gosh, let's see. Maybe this was George Romero's way of saying, don't forget Dawn of the Dead. What about mentioning Dawn of the Dead in the Criterion Collection? Don't forget Dawn of the Dead. So that's maybe George Romero giving me a sign saying I should mention Dawn of the Dead as a contender for a film that I'd like to see in the Criterion Collection. So I'm sorry, Mr. George Romero. Please forgive me. So yes, let us take Dawn of the Dead into great care and consideration into that possibility. I'd love to see Dawn of the Dead in the Criterion Collection. I don't know how possible it would be, but we did have this release. But of course, this release was from the UK, so maybe there might be room for a North American release. And who better than the Criterion Collection? After all, they do have Night of the Living Dead. Do they not? So I think it would be a nice companion piece. And then, of course, if one says Dawn of the Dead should be in the Criterion Collection, then that should pave the way for Day of the Dead. And I would say, too, Land of the Dead. Land of the Dead is growing on me very much so in recent months. So, but definitely Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. Those would be great contenders, I think. And I'm sure a number of people might agree with me as well on that. So what a great series of films those are. Really, really great. All right, here's my, okay, yeah. When they're in the bank in Dawn of the Dead, one of the key characters says, "You never know. Money, money, money." Oh, it's great. What a great moment in Dawn of the Dead. Oh, it's so great. And so, can't do the voice for the life of me, but let me try this. Let's see. So it would be, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. And then Fran does the little thing with her coat like that. Oh, so great. Oh, so great. Oh, fantastic.